Are any of you guys graphic artists? Are you artists of any kind? Can you mold stuff? Can you make cool stuff? And I want an idea. I will pay you for it. I'm going to buy it. But I want to get an award that I can start handing out. It's going to be called the Dumb Son of a Bitch Award. I'm going to have it here. We're going to present it on the Chael Sonnen Show. Paddy Pimlin's manager, I would like to hand my first ever award to, if I haven't. Now, we won't make this official. He's not actually the first winner, but boy, is that one dumb son of a bitch. So, and I'm trying not to talk about him, right? He got cross with me. I'm going to keep his name out of my mouth as a way of unserving him so he can figure out what side of the bread has butter. I'm going to make an exception right now. Have you heard of a guy named Dana White? Have you heard of a guy named Dave Portnoy? Have you heard of something called the Ultimate Fighting Championship? Have you heard of something called Barstool Sport? Now, you're probably laughing, or you're probably saying yes, but I'm going to ask you those simple questions because we combined those four things. We combined the Ultimate Fighting Championship and Dana White with Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports. Sounds like a pretty powerful formula if your goal is promotion. Can we agree on that? Okay. Dana White told Dave Portnoy that Paddy Pimblin is going to be fighting Truck Gordon in England. Mr. Dumb Son of a Bitch, which is all I can refer to him as, I've got the foggiest idea who he is, and I can't even tell you the platform he said it on because I don't know, decided to come out and say, that is not true. We are still discussing opponents. Now, what exactly was the goal in denying the claim? And can the claim be denied once it's said by the president? And this would be a very interesting case for the Supreme Court. In fact, it reminds me of a case that was taken up by the Supreme Court, which had to do with classified information. If you give away classified information, you can be put in prison. Depending on the level of that information, you can be hung under a law known as treason. The Supreme Court had to look at this. Can the President of the United States be arrested, be impeached, be removed from power, and possibly be hung if he gives away classified information? The answer was no, because it's impossible for the President to do. Because the President is the only person with the power to declassify information, the moment it comes out of the President's mouth to the public, it is therefore declassified. You may have followed that. You may like that. You may not like that. I am telling you, true case study taken up by the United States Supreme Court. So I'm going to carry that over. And yes, I'm making a little bit of a leap here to tie these things. But is it possible for the president of the organization you fight for to say you're fighting somebody and for you to say you're not? Is it even possible? You dumb son of a bitch. Do you think anybody cares who you're fighting? In all fairness, when you turned down Cowboy Cerrone, our interest in your opponent left. The good news, in fairness to the story, Paddy Pimblin is very interesting right now. Very much like Chimaev. What is taking so long to pick Chimaev's opponent? Because it really doesn't matter to us, the audience, who it is. We want to see Chimaev. And Paddy's in that same category. Paddy has something that's interesting, and we want to see him fight. So the opponent really doesn't matter to us. But if I was going to go out and buy a ticket today because my son is a Paddy fan, and I just read that it's not official yet, I'm not going to go buy that ticket. Now, I might either hurt business by not selling out the arena, or the arena is going to sell out by the time I go to get my son a ticket. Once it is official, they're gone. Either way, I have disrupted the market. And for what gain? For what possible gain to whatever I know some HTML, I live in my mother's basement.com, got the quote from the guy who I'm giving a hard time to, and I can't name because I don't know his name, would possibly make sense to interrupt a statement made by the president of your organization and the president of Barstool Sport. Did you guys know, I'll personalize this, did you know I fought a guy named Shogun? Now, at one point in time, that was a very big fight. We sold out an arena. We had Conor McGregor on the undercard. Max Holloway was there that night. It was a very good card. But the UFC set out to have a very big card because it was the debut of the UFC on a new network called FS1, a branch off of Fox when they had that deal. So this is the one where we need to get people's attention. We've got to educate fans, and the only way you're going to educate them is they go do a level of research to find out what time and what channel FS1 is even on. It had not existed yet. That FS1 had never been on a TV guide before. It's going to debut that night, 7 o'clock, and it's going to open with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So I fought a guy named Shogun. I was working at that time at Fox, and I was hosting a show called UFC Tonight. The producer of that show calls me right after I land back home. We filmed in LA. Right after I landed back home in Portland, he calls me and said, "You're fighting Shogun. Why did you not tell us? We love to break scoop. We will always build our hosts up. And now I got a host coming on breaking no scoop. Why didn't you tell us?" Steve Becker was his name. He just wanted to know. I wasn't in trouble and I wasn't getting a reprimand. But Becker wanted to know why I didn't tell him. I said, "Becker, I didn't know." He did not believe me. He let it go. He let me slide. That was his way of letting me know in the future, if you have big scoop, particularly about yourself, come and share it with us so we can put it on the show. But he didn't believe me, and I was telling him the truth. And I did fight Shogun. And it was a main event, and it did sell out an arena, and it did set the all-time FS1 record. I have never been offered the Shogun fight. Nobody's ever, to this day, called and asked me or offered me a match with Shogun. I heard Dana say it. So I looked up the date. I told my family what venue it was so they could get tickets. I went into training for it, and eventually we got out there. When I get to the weigh-ins, there's the bout agreement. You got to sign it before you can get on the scale. I did all my paperwork right then. But I would never come out and say that it isn't true once the president says it. Anything that the president says is now by proxy true, and you, my friend, are one dumb son of a bitch.